This morning in the top left-hand corner here of Ruby Rock, we have the South Green Protoss player. We have the Blue Protoss representing T1. It is herO. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the South Green Terran player. We have the Red Terran representing Team Liquid. It is Cure. Here we go. We're jumping into our semifinals, and even though we have the same matchup, a very different opponent here. herO, he is often one that dictates the pace of the meta even. Here, he's a much more aggressive player as well. He's willing to play macro, don't get me wrong, but I would say his macro, especially in TvP, is a little bit weaker compared to Classic, for example. I say this about Classic's Protoss vs Terran and Protoss vs Zerg as well. I do think that Classic has the best late game out there against Zerg and against Terran for sure. herO's isn't bad, but Classic, he is a bit of a step above. But what herO has over Classic is the early and the mid game. Like, the early and mid game is where herO does thrive. It is where he can be hyper aggressive, hyper assertive. He is very willing to mix up his builds, go for different tech structures, go for Stargate openers, Robo, Twilight Council, different variations as well. And he can be a very difficult player to read and to keep up with. Here we go. Here we go. So now we are going to be opening up. Gate expand into Cybercore out of herO. Meanwhile, Cure going for, mixing it up quite heavily here. Double gas for the first time in this broadcast. Double gas open out of Cure, going for a faster factory, going for a delayed command center. But welcome one all to Ruby Rock. Ruby Rock is one of the smaller maps of the map pool. Aggression is favored on this map, so it makes sense to be a little bit more tech heavy here from the side of the Terran player. We'll see how assertive herO is going to be. El Chanchito, papi. We do have to remind them. I mentioned something previously, I guess I'll reiterate, but specifically for PiGosaur Cup, something that's unique about something that's unique about this tournament is that semifinals are best of 5, and that is unique, that is rare for open cups. Open cups, they usually have a best of 3 semifinals, so it's very common that players that play and everything don't remember, or don't they just don't remember or don't realize the difference. And there have been instances where they vetoed for a best of 3, and then it's like, no, it's the best of 5 pack, we got to keep going. They're like, oh, it's time to re-veto. Not uncommon for players to forget. That this is the one tournament that is different in that way. How dare we ask players to remember the rules of a tournament? How do you... no. I mean, there's some unique features about Monday Night Weeklies, for example. Like Monday Night Weekly, what makes that event stand out is the fact that it's double elimination. True. So Monday Night Weekly is double elimination. PiGosaur Cups have best of 5s in the semis. For our tournaments, we hold semis, so we cast both. That's both semifinals. And we have the random raffle as well. True. So I guess each event has their own little spin to it. Secure does break in. It does break in, and KDA charge will knock out the army. Yeah, it does create an opening. Reaper Hellion dives into the main base, but so far, Hellion goes down, Reaper goes down. We got 2 Reapers and 1 Hellion left over. How many probes did we kill? 2. Only 2. Did we get 3? 3 probe kills, and that is 3 probes for 3 Hellions and sorry. Oh wait, what? Am I crazy? Okay, never mind. 3 probes for 2 Reapers and a Hellion. So, oh my apologies. I assumed that these 2 units died. That's why I was like, wait, what? What happened to the other Reaper and Hellion? I assumed they went down. No, they survived. So a 1-to-1 trade. And meanwhile, we do slip back into the main. Okay, going for more damage. And can we pick up another 2 workers? Can we get at least 1? No. Never mind. Does 9% mining time at least, but in the end, I would say this is a stronger defense out of herO. As herO, he only loses 3 workers for 3 Reapers and 2 Hellions, so that was a much better trade for the Protoss, as that was not even a 1-to-1 trade. Behind this, we do have tank production and Cloak Banshee as well. Cure, he's doubling down, being much more aggressive. Bearing in mind, this was an earlier factory, an earlier starport into earlier Banshee play. Oh boy. First Banshee is moving out. Now herO did go for his earlier robo. Yeah, he does have his robo. Oh, actually herO, sorry, my apologies, I kind of glossed over this. herO, he does not go blink, he goes into charge instead. And this is what we spoke about. Early charge here does allow for herO to actually move out early on as well, to try to break a defending player as they take their third base. But now though, Banshee into the main, gets spotted by herO. Observer's moving in. Observer does move in, and herO going for the Stargate? Is herO making a Stargate just to make a singular Phoenix just to hunt down this Banshee? It is possible. It's possible. We've seen this before. It might just be for the singular Phoenix. Okay. Meanwhile, the second Banshee does arrive here at the third. Getting 1, 2, 3, 4 probe kills. Not bad at all. 5 probes go down. Yeah, herO completely out of position. He had his second observer here at the natural, not at the third. herO caught with his pants down, and Cure, he makes up for his earlier losses with the Reaper Hellion. As again, because of the opener, he has been getting to tank production very early on. He's already got 3. 3 tanks are moving out. Stim will not be a factor here. Stim is still a ways away. But if these tanks, if they can get within range of the Nexus, they can kill. And there's nothing to stop him. The problem here is that herO, he's preoccupied. He's preoccupied, he's busy in the main, busy in the natural, busy defending. There's that one Phoenix. Tank will siege. Charge shots, is that going to be enough? Yeah, the tanks are within range of the Nexus. herO, he has to commit. Oof. He gets 1, he gets 2, he's going to get all 3. Yeah, he's going to get all 3. Again, the power of early charge. Remember, herO did not open blink, he opened charge. And charge is designed to shut down these tank pushes. Ay. A clean defense here by herO. Cure didn't realize. Again, if he realized it was charge and not blink, he should not have been there. Ay. The Phoenix does give chase. And Cure is in a rough position here. He played into herO's hands. Yeah, he played into his hands in the end. It all just lined up for herO. herO potentially overextending here. Yeah, we gotta calm down. The SimCity is solid. But Cure's in a rough position. Cure's in a very, very rough position. He lost all of his tanks, he lost all of his bio. That was a very inefficient fight for the Terran. And the Phoenixes did end up hunting down those Banshees. Yeah, there's no Banshees left. No Banshees remaining. Here he does slip by across the map, going for the drop into the main. There's a third CC on the way. Cure is going to try to macro out of this. Meanwhile, Cure is out of position. Sorry, here is out of position. Fourth base is exposed. Here's Elson to the main. At the same time, this fourth base should be cancelled. Can he save it? The Woodwinds don't burrow. Ooh, the Woodwinds did not burrow. Yeah, a bit of miscontrol here by Cure. Does burrow 2 in the end. Decent connections. Does get some decent connections. But again, we could have had more shots going off. And with that, herO holds. Wow. Here he does hold on across the map. Got 5 SCV kills. Distracted Cure. And herO settling in. Building on more Colossi. Blink. Extend more Lance. Cure, he's once again rallying across the map. He wants to break that fourth base. He needs to. Remember, Cure, he's down 2 expansions, by the way. He's got 2 bases against 4. He's got to do something. Oh, trying to force friendly fire. A nice drag there from herO. Does drag into the Medivacs. Zelta give chase. Wooden Mines, they do not burrow in time. Yeah, the mines don't burrow. You're just warping into the face of Cure. Oh no. And Cure is bleeding out too much. He's bleeding out too much here. Finally can take his third base. But Cure, he's now vulnerable to a counterattack. He's vulnerable. Here come the Zealot Warpins. Here it can start to push. He can start to move out. Getting a second robo, getting a 5th expansion. Ay, ay, ay. Dark Shrine is on the way as well. A little bit unnecessary, I would say. I don't think Hero needs it, but sure. Why not? Why not, man? And there's not much here to work with. Akira, he's just now going to reactive Viking production and making 4 Vikings at a time. Will help. Akira, he's getting there. Has begun the Ghost production as well. But Hero does have a terrifying army. Now just posturing. And again, there's no pressure on Hero. There's no pressure. He's on 5 aces. He's fine. He's on 82 probes. You may be looking at this and be like, oh, the supplies are relatively close. The soup is lying. Here, the only reason is because workers are long distance mining. Once the space gets fully operational, then Hero can max out. Let's avoid some mine leaking into the army. He's crazy. He has control of the ramp. The boys are being pulled. Yeah, the boys are being pulled. Zelce tied the main army. Colossus are exposed, losing 1, losing up to 2. Yeah, 2 Colossus go down. Yeah, here in an awkward position here. He's going to lose all 3 Colossi, and he has to get the hell out of here. He's forcing the all-in. He's forcing the all-in. He just killed 23 SCVs. But again, here he got flanked, and this is his moment. This is Kira's time. It's his time. Send it, Kira. Send it. Oh, no. Oof. Losing 2 Vikings. Yeah, leaves out 2 Vikings, but again, Kira, he can end the game here and now, and it looks like he will. Oh, the Artosis Pylon! Depowers the robo. Yeah, the pylon goes down. Oh, we have DTs in the mix. Uh-oh. Okay, Dark Templar, they do move in. There's a scan. You can see Hero with the F2. Does have 1 Colossus. He's got 1. Second robo is being repowered. Shield battery putting in a lot of work. But there should be enough bio on the ground. He should get on top of the Colossi. Ooh. Does bring it down. Third base is now broken. Another Colossus on the way. Here, can he pull off this defense? Can he need a little bit more time? The Colossus has arrived. F2, Pappy, F2. Go for it. Yeah, here, he's going to bleed out more Stalkers. There are just so many Vikings. Yeah, the Colossus doesn't even matter. Oof. Colossus goes down, and with that, Cure will start things off with the lead. We'll start things off with the lead here. This was a shaky game here for Cure, but Hero overextended. He overextended. I say overextended. He just didn't realize that Cure was in a way out of position. Cure, he was able to flank the army coming in from multiple angles. And with that, Cure has done it. Oh my Jesus, never mind. We do have a Warpit available. I just realized here he's got 800 minerals in the gas in the bank. Was he missing warpins? So, but it seems like he was. Jesus. What's crazy is Hero, he lost what, 30 probes? He's still ahead. Like, he's still up in workers. The 5 base economy here is insane. GG. Hero, he does hold on, he does defend, and Hero does not get punished. It was close. It was very, very close. But Hero takes game number 1. Wow. GG. GG, well played. Hero, he does take a lead in this series. Again, Cure, that was his time, that was his moment. Hero did make a mistake. Hero did misjudge. He did overextend. He lost his Colossus as he moved that across the map. He was flanked by the army, and even though he killed all the SCVs, like, that was Cure's time to shine. That was his time to move that across the map to end the game. But as you saw, Hero, he did barely buy enough time for extra warpins. Because of his 80 probe count, even though he did lose the mineral line, he still had plenty of mining, plenty of workers, and plenty of warpins as well. To the point where it looked like Hero was missing warpins. It looks like he was, in the midst of all the chaos, he was missing warpins, he was banking supply, or banking resources, I should say. And in the end, Hero survived, defended, deflected. GG. Wow. GG, well played. With that, Hero takes the lead, and we're going to be loading into game number 2, going to be loading into Tourmaline. Buenos días, Fabi. Buenos días. Esta es la grasa. Buenos días. And spawning in the bottom hand corner of Tourmaline, we have the South Korean Protoss player. We have the blue Protoss leading the series 1-0. Representing T1, it is Hero. And spawning in the top right hand corner, we have the South Korean Terran player. We have the red Terran representing Team Liquid. It is Cure. But again, a very chaotic end to the game, I will say, as Cure, I believe that he was going to punish. He was meant to punish, and he did. Like, he was able to achieve a lot of damage, of course, but he had no longevity here behind it. He had no economy, he had no production. He could not sustain himself. It was all or nothing. Cure was all in, and he barely didn't have enough. And once again, do you see what I see? Double gas open out to Cure. Last game, this led into Reactor Reaper Hellion, into a more aggressive start, into the follow-up as well. This time, I wouldn't be surprised if herO goes charge again. Welcome to Tourmaline. Tourmaline is another smaller map, in the map pool. Shorter rush distance by ground. Aggression is favored. We saw a very aggressive game last game on Ruby Rock. We expect something similar here on Tourmaline. But I'm torn. Because of the charge-based opener that herO went for, maybe Cure doesn't go for the early push. Maybe he doesn't commit, and if he doesn't, then herO won't be as successful. He won't gain as much value from early charge. This is where mind games and the series comes into play, where one game can inform the other. So we'll see how players adapt and evolve. Now herO does go for a standard opener. Standard pattern. Likewise, last game we had Cure going into the Cloak Banshees, which again herO responded with Phoenixes, which is crazy. It worked. I mean, we have seen Banshees be so annoying and so frustrating to deal with. I guess it also makes sense because herO didn't open Blink. True. Like, that's also probably a big deciding factor there. So he had to go Phoenixes without Blink Stalkers. For now, though, once again, a Twilight Council opener out of herO. We're assuming Blink, but hey, last game was Charge. Cure this time only making 2 Reapers. Okay, only 2 Reapers, then going for the add-ons, going into early Cyclone. This time Cure is not committing as hard into Reaper Hellion. So Reapers they poke in. Getting 1 probe so far. That's 1. As it's being chased down, gets a 2nd probe, not bad. Do we get 3? Up! Oh my god, 2 probes go down in the end. herO does surround, it does clean up. It could have been a lot worse here, but not the worst trade for Cure. You got a full scout. Meanwhile, this time a standard opener opening up Blink. Blink out of herO, getting his Robo on 2 bases as well. Does go for the Robo. Yes, herO does lay some mining at least, gets 1 SCV, but shouldn't get much more than that. Oof. Yeah, losing 2 adepts. Some brutal losses for herO. Cure getting into earlier tank production, earlier medic as well, earlier drop play. Okay, this time no Tech Lab, but no Cloak Banshee. Going for a later Tech Lab. We'll see if he still commits. Otherwise, should just be a Raven. Here comes the early drop. As Cure moves out, Adept moves in. There's nothing here to defend. Gets an SCV. Gets 1. Gets 2. Shouldn't get 3. Let's get here. He does shade away. Soldiers are moving out. Cure is still slipping out across the map. Now, again, here he should have recognized that the Cyclone was missing, that in general units were missing. That should have registered for herO. He has no units back at home. herO's claiming his 3rd base. He's moving out, and this drop has potential. Has potential here. herO claims his 3rd. As herO moves in, that should activate the drop. Clicks into the main. He does go for the dive. Gets 1, gets 2 SCVs. Cyclone does catch one of the Stalkers. Ooh. As we pick up a 3rd SCV. Medevac now moving in. A bit of a late reaction, but does move in. This tells me that I believe a warping is available defensively. Jumping to the mineral line. Ooh, here he commits into the natural. Losing more stalkers. Yeah, more stalkers going down, forcing the recall. That's going to be 6 probe kills. Very nice damage here by Cure. Oh. Cure does boost away. Here comes the main push. He doesn't pull the boys with this, but I believe it's 3. Yeah, 3 tanks. 3 tanks, the Raven, the Marines. This is very similar to the push that we saw last game. Very, very similar. And this time Blink is confirmed. He knows that there's no charge. So Cure, he can pull this off. So far he's unscouted, and once again, can he get within range of the 3rd base? As he's spotted. Here he does react. Going for the feedback. Charge not yet done. Lock it on the War Prism. Prism does get away. Nice feedback on the auto turret. It's on the Raven. But still, there are 3 tanks. It might just be too much. Up. Yeah, massive tank shots on the Stalkers. The boys are being pulled. Hero getting desperate. And here he does get one of the tanks. He does get the 2nd. Can he get the 3rd tank? Oh my god, the army's so low. The juggling. Oh my god. The juggling with the Immortal. Yeah, he juggles on forward, takes down the tank. Very nice defense here by herO. Ay, ay, ay. With the Prism, an Immortal, an Archon, and a Stalker, he was able to just micro his heart out. herO defends, but at a cost. Did cost him 7 probes. 7 probes went down. Here, he's lost 15 workers throughout the course of this game. The one upside, no 3rd CC. This was a borderline 2-base all-in. This 3rd base needed to have started much earlier. Because it just now began, herO, yes, he lost a bunch of probes. It's still okay. Like, he can still afford that. His opponent is still far behind economically. Or at least far behind when it comes to his 3rd base. So here he can still recover. Here's Sims in. Once again, rallies across the map. What am I to borrow? Here he's here looking for a 3rd. And has to be careful. Observer gets spotted. Storm on the mines. Storm on the main army. And here it does give chase. How many storms does he have? He has 3 High Templar, 2 storms to the main army. That's a lot of storms. He's got his 2 storms. And here, can he break through? You know what? Cure popping out with the EMP just in time. Very nice EMP. Okay. Denies the storms. And Cure holds. Cure, he holds well. Does catch the Immortal. Barely not. Ourselves to the High Templar, getting 1, getting 2 High Templar. A storm does land. Massive storm on the army. Oh my god. The Bio army deep in the red. And I believe we do have another storm. Cure, he notices. He spreads. He does pre-split. Hoping to avoid their storms. Nice control out of herO. Oh my god. Storm lands. Okay, there's at least 2 storms left. Still very tense. As we get tense here, a big shout out to Refuse to Learn in the chat. God, my God, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the raid. Hope you had a great stream. Hope you had a great, I'm assuming, ladder session, and I'm assuming that some learning was had, hopefully. But regardless, hope you had a great time, and thank you so much for the raid. Welcome to the replay cast of PiGosaur Cup, PiGosaur Cup number 65. This is the semi-finals. We're mid-series here. We're in game number 2, and it's been a very intense back and forth so far. Very close, very clutch. Cure, he had a very late 3rd base, who was very committed on 2 bases early on. He failed to break the 3rd base of herO. Did kill a bunch of workers, though. Did kill workers, and what I will say is that Cure, now he's stabilized, getting his own 3rd up and running, and herO, where is the 4th expansion? It's late. It's a very late 4th base here. So Cure is now taking an economic lead. Ooh, as he bleeds out a ghost. He'll lose 1, he'll lose 2. Never mind. Nice control there by herO, saving that second ghost. That was a little bit wasteful from herO, and herO, he's in trouble. Again, hero's down in supply, down in economy. Late fourth base. What does herO have? Storm, right? He does have a bunch of storms. And if the storms land, herO can hold. But it's heavily reliant on those storms. Enjoy this video. Gracias, baby, gracias. We appreciate it. Scurry pulls back, building up his 4th CC, building up his Vikings. I will say that here he is. Oh my god! As we attempt to come in, we attempt to storm. Here is deflected. What I was going to say is that here he's refining his composition here, building up Colossus. We have Extendable Lance on the way, second robot making 2 Colossus at a time. Here he is refining his army, that is true, but Cure still has momentum, still has a death ball to work with. So here is setting up a run by, setting up a counterattack. Does signs of SCV is not bad. Just 2. 2, 3, 4 SCV kills. Distracting Cure. Five SCVs in total. Again, just distracting, slowing him down. Meanwhile, here is now working towards his disruptors. Colossus have built up. I believe he has 2. Yeah, sorry, 3. So 3 Colossus. Massive amount of Immortals. Disruptors. Storm. 8 High Templar in total. That's a lot of storms, but they're also clumping up. Oh no! Nice feedback. Nice feedback. But again, he's so vulnerable to an EMP. EMP grazing 2 High Templar. Oh my god, massive EMP on the High Templar. Ay, ay, ay. herO, we're clumping up too much. No storms. There was only 1 High Templar in the Warp Prism. Yeah, only 1. Vikings they move in, they shut down the Prism. Prism goes down, 0 storms. We got 1 storm coming in. Nova goes off, doesn't connect. Storm lands. Very nice storm, but there's only 1. Only 1. And here he plummets in supply. Again, he had 8 High Templar and he landed 1 storm. Ay, ay, ay. And with that, we have a series. We have a back and forth. Cure, he overwhelms the army. He will give chase. Does respect the High Templar. And Cure, he can send it back. He can send it. Oof. And nice times. Once again, Novas are not connecting. Nice target firing there out of Cure. Very nice target firing. That's to respect those Zealots. They didn't have any EMPs left over. Vikings, they can land. herO making his final stand, trading as best he can, but herO, he's running out of steam, running out of army. The Zealots, the Archons, and the Stalkers. We got 3 Stalkers left. Let's go. That's all he has. Scans at a time, spots the Robos. Will depower. Oof. Robos will go down, no more Disruptors. Cure is a little bit oversimmed, but it's fine. Yeah, it should be fine here. I say that the Zealots, I do clean up most of these Marauders. They're just so low on HP. Oh my god. Okay. hero's holding on. Here he barely holds on. Now, what's a little bit scary about what just happened is that herO, his economy is okay. He's got 75 workers. Now he's getting a 5th Nexus as well. If given time, herO can stabilize. Now, of course, he did just lose his Robos. True, so he can't make Disruptors. He can't make Colossus. So his army is quite limited. His production is stifled. So is his tech. Yeah, herO is still at death's door. It's gonna take a while. It's gonna take a while to recover. As herO has to rebuild those Robos. On the one hand, it's very impressive that herO survived, and it's impressive that herO was able to force all these fights out of range of his mineral line, so he didn't lose any workers while defending. That is true. But herO still lost his production and still lost his tech. So herO, he needs Q to be passive. He needs him to be defensive. Nice EMP. Nice EMP on the Zealots. You see Cure making 3 Liberators at a time, getting a 3rd Starport as well. Cure, he's perfecting his army, throwing down sensor towers, and even though Cure isn't pushing, Cure, he'll be the first to max out. Like, he's about to max out, and then he can start to push. Cure is still very comfortable. He's still comfortable, he's still ahead. He still has a lead. Now, how can herO recover? There's a chance here if he can, for example, get a War Prism into the main base, or pull off a Zealot round by as Cure is pushing, and force him back home and distract him. Like, there are some kind of like guerrilla tactics you can go for. But that's what herO needs to do. Like, he can't just sit back and go for one big head-on fight, because Cure will dominate. Oh boy, here he comes. Cure is building up to 8 Liberators. It's gonna be a lot of freedom. Here he comes. Here comes the main push. I don't believe herO can stop this. No. Ghost lead the charge. Feedbacks on a couple of ghosts. Storms are coming in. And no, the High Templar, no, they rally into the Liberators. Oh my god. That's what 4 High Templar going down. We have more Templar, more Storms. Storms are kind of landing. EMP's got Dust Connect though. Yeah, brutal EMP. There's the recall. Oh my god, Mass Storm! He recalls the Storms over. The base still goes down. And Cure's done it. Cure, he has done it. He got that recall so he could avoid this wall of Liberators. And again, it was impressive, it was flashy. But it's not good enough. As hero's double expanding, taking these southern bases, taking more expansions. Oh, nice Storm. Nice Archon shot. He just needed one more volley. Okay. Jesus. Oh my god, how many Storms does hero have? The Storms are crazy. Hero, calm down, Pappy, calm down. Gear spawning more expansions. Does rotate towards the south side. As Young Curie does set up. Knocks down the expansion. Again, hero's like, I didn't hear no bell. Like, he's been fighting his heart out. It's been crazy. It's been impressive. It's, for example, if he can land a Nova, for example, then sure. He can maybe win a fight. You can see hero coming in from behind. He has 6 High Templar. I set up with Liberation Zones. 1 Liberator goes down. He gets 1. He gets 2. Takes on 2 Liberators. Ooh, we'll lose the Colossus and the Disruptor. Gets on the lid. Here come the Storms. Storm mainly on Medivacs. Yeah, mainly on Medivacs. EMP doesn't quite land. And here, can he land that Storm? No! Onomas, he has 1 more Storm. He lands it. He lands the Storm, and hero will barely clean up this army. Just barely. Again, hero, he's fighting his heart out. He's still terribly dead. Like, he's still horribly dead, and has been for like 10 minutes. But he refuses to tap out. It's like, work for it, Pappy. Oh my god. As Curie's on 83 SCVs, he's making his next wave of army. Again, herO, he pulled off that fight down like 50 supply, by the way. Like, that was insane. I think it was down 60 supply at the time. And again, it's impressive. It's just herO's been punching up for the past 10 minutes. It's been rough. There we go. Cure does knock down the expansion. Stims in. At the same time, herO going for the counter attack. Oh, running into a planetary. Now this time there are only 2 Templar. Previously, I did. GG. GG gets called, and Cure ties up the series 1-1. GG. Hey, GG, well played. A very impressive game here out of herO of all players. Like, again, herO was dead for a solid 10 minutes that game. Like, Cure, he was up in bases, up in economy, he was up in army, he was crippling the production, crippling the tech, but herO refused to die. He was able to take some fights and take some engagements despite being far behind in the army supply and in the economy. It was impressive. It was impressive. A lot of tenacity there out of herO, but despite that, like, it was still too much to overcome. It was impressive. It was great to see, but at no point was Cure in any real danger. Like, any danger of dying, I should say, or any danger of losing that game, as Cure had too much of a lead early on. And with that, GG, well played. We're getting into game number 3. Let's go. Let us go. We'll see who can take a lead in the series, who can gain momentum, as game 3 is going to be on Title Citadel. Here we go. And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Title Citadel, we have the South Korean Protoss player. We have the blue Protoss representing T1. It is herO. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the South Korean Terran player. We have the red Terran representing Team Liquid. It is Cure. Go. High up high on Skooma. Oh god. Is this live? If you're curious, this is a live broadcast. That is true, but this is a replay cast. It should be in the title. It should be in the title of both the YouTube and the Twitch stream. I know that if you're on mobile, then I believe the title gets cut off. But if you check the title, if we ever do have a replay cast, it is stated so in said title of the stream. But here we go. Here we go. As we are going to be opening up. Again, last game, herO just had a really shaky early to mid game. We saw that he had such a late 3rd base, late 4th base as well. So because of that, he just could not really sustain himself as the game did progress. Cure, he was able to stabilize, getting his own 3rd base up and running, if you recall. And snowball out of control. Likewise, we had some messy engagements out of herO early on that allowed for that deficit to occur. But here we go, we're settling into game 3, and we'll see who can take a lead in the series. Welcome to Title Citadel. This is a map that is often vetoed. Very, very often vetoed here, just because a couple of different reasons. One, we have the goal base. Goal base is going to be a factor in the bottom left-hand corner of the map. This typically does favor whoever has map control, and that is usually the Protoss player in PvT. So often Terran players just avoid this map. Not just that, but the bases are very spread out. They're very spread out, so they're very isolated from each other. It can be very difficult to rotate defensively and to keep up with army movement to defend your 3rd, your 4th, your 5th base. It can be very, very difficult to keep up. So we often do see some messy defenses here on Title Citadel. But we'll see. In game 1, herO did open charge. Game 2, open blink. Game 3, what's it going to be? Show us what you got. Read the whole title from Landscape on mobile. Oh, there you go. There you go. Full screen, true. But yeah, just as a reminder to check if you ever have said question. But it's all good. So now we do have a Twilight Council open at herO. Does open Twilight Council once again. As we mentioned before, we have seen herO vary things up when it comes to charge or blink. Meanwhile, I believe for the first time this series, and okay, getting our CC up and running. We have our 1-1-1 follow-up. Once again, we have reacted marine production out of Cure, building up that marine count very early on, skipping that early cyclone. If you recall, we saw this against Creator earlier today. I believe that should just be one Hellion to scouts, just the one. I mean, I say we saw this against Creator, we saw this against herO as well. As Cure has been very fond of this. As here comes the follow-up Cyclone, the medevac, and here comes the early push. So Cure, he's going to commit. Bearing in mind, this is going to be moved out without stim. Ideally, this will knock down the third base. We can see that herO is going for a safer build. We have a third gateway and a robo before an expansion. Hellion does confirm there is no third base. And Cure backs off. So again, just like game one against Creator, where Cure, he committed into this build, and once he realized that Creator wasn't being greedy, or here, herO isn't being greedy, herO isn't being economic, Cure backs off. He pulls away, and he can now just go for drop play. Comes a medevac. Again, if herO had gone for an earlier base, then Cure would have committed. Would have committed across. Blink is now done. herO can now expand. And we'll see if he can keep up. So far, picking up a probe, delaying the base, not bad. Third base is delayed. Medevac's on the way. Here he should soon confirm the missing army, or that units are lacking. As the observer moves in. Spots production. Ooh, has to respect the Raven. Here he's hunting for the observer. Hunting for him back. And this time herO isn't being active. If you recall, last game, one of the reasons why Cure took a lead was this very same drop, where herO moved out, and when herO blinked into the main base with his Winged Stalkers, that's what triggered Cure to go into the main of herO. And he was able to wreak havoc. Was it 15 probe kills in total last game? But this time herO doesn't move out. He stays home. And we're being a lot more defensive. Meanwhile, we do mix things up a little bit here, going into Storm. So Storm is on the way, Charge on the way as well. I say that, I mean, we saw the same thing last game. Earlier Storm, delayed Colossus. Oh no! The observer gets caught out. Does get caught. Checking hero's vision, he did see the third command center. Big scout for herO. He now knows he's safe. He knows there's no two base all in. And herO can start thinking about a fourth expansion. And there it is. That's our fourth base. So unlike last game, this fourth base is really well timed. It's very well timed. herO so far looking solid. herO going for the storm drop. That also means that I'll defensive back at home. Uh-oh. Here we go. Storms are coming in. He will get some SCVs, but what about that home defense? Yeah, his SCVs will go down. Getting 5 in total. Landing one more. The High Templar just killed the SCVs. Oh my god. They just auto-attacked the SCVs to death. I mean, there's a final storm. 17 kills. But what about the defense back at home? Hero, does he have enough? Okay, he has 2 storms. He has 2 High Templar. He has 2 storms. He's out of position. The 4th base is under fire. Big cancellation. 4th base is denied. But Cure needs more than that. Cure, he lost 19 SCVs. He's going to keep going. He's going to keep moving in. Massive storm in the Bio Army. Second storm, a little bit lackluster. Tanks, they shell away at the gateways. At the same time, dropping to the main is going to be cleaned up. Hero defends. Hero, he defends the main. We still need more zealots, though. As Hero, he has to get on top of those tanks. Hasn't lost too much. Storm is coming in. Ooh. Prism goes down. Hero still cannot engage. Still needs another warp in. Oh, here he commits. Yeah, commits into the army. He will get at least 1 tank, but he will lose every single stalker. Here he was premature. Yeah, he moved in too soon. He's got an immortal. He had extra zealots. He needed everything to come together. And has Cure done it. Now, bearing in mind, Cure is all in. He has 45 SCVs against the 72 of Hero. Here he has another expansion on the way. This has to win the game. Here's close. Again, Hero did misjudge. Collapses in. Trying to rush forward. Storm grazes the army. We have one more storm. Oh my god. And once again, no major connection. Tank barely goes down. Yeah, tank goes down and Hero holds. Whew. Hi. Here he holds on, bad. He holds on. As it all settles, where exactly are we? Here he's again heavily oversaturated, just now taking his 4th. Cure, can he deny the 4th base again? He scans. He scans, he sees the expansion. Here he has to react, he has to respond. He needs more zealots, he needs more army. Here needs more time. Shows EMPs. Oh my god, massive EMPs. We have no storms left. And Cure's done it. Yeah, Cure, he has done it. He has broken the main army here. The Archons, the Immortals. There's no more splash damage. Just kiting back. Cure will break the expansion. Storm does land. Jesus. Storm lands, gets a lot of value, but the base goes down. And Cure can just snowball out of control. Just keep on pushing, take down the 4th base, now move in towards the 3rd. There's what, 1 High Templar. Going for the feedback. And Cure, he'll take a lead. He'll take a lead in the series. GG gets called. Cure, he will take game number 3 up 2-1. GG. Whew, GG, well played. Again, Hero a little bit greedy in his overall build, winding it back. Hero, he was getting his 4th base, Cure was getting his 3rd, and what did Hero do? He went for a triple High Templar drop. He went for a storm drop across the map, and he did kill a lot of SCVs. Remember, he killed 17 SCVs. It's good damage, but that also means you have that many less storms defensively back at home. That was a lot of, that was like what, 5 or 6 storms. It was crazy how many storms Hero had across the map. And that also meant that his base defense was that much weaker. His 4th base went down. Despite that, it did seem like Hero had the tools to defend. We mentioned a couple of times, there were a couple of moments where Hero, he moved in as he was warping in. So he moved in with like a portion of his army. So he overextended. He was premature. He moved in too soon and took a really rough fight as a result. So there were a couple of moments like that where Hero misjudged the strength of his army. That is true, and potentially Hero could have defended there, but again, like he was in a rough position because of that initial storm drop. It meant that he was that much weaker defensively. GG, well played. That's the risk you take when you go for a storm drop. True, the risk you take. As that leads us into game number 4, leads us into the Old Republic. Let's go. Here we go. Why do you think Hero isn't putting cannons in mineral lines? I would say there wasn't any need for cannons in mineral lines. That's typically a waste of resources, as you can usually defend your bases and defend your mineral lines without cannons. I could be mistaken, but I don't think in that game there was ever a moment where cannons would have benefited him. Bearing in mind that cannons don't, what cannons do is that they don't deal with the drop. They buy time to warp in, and they buy time for the Protoss player to react with their army to be able to defend against the drop. Like cannons they never kill a drop. They just deter or just buy time, like a bit of a buffer. But I don't think there was a moment in that game where that was ever needed. But here we go. Here we go, spawning in the top right-hand corner of the Old Republic. We have the South Korean Protoss player. We have the blue Protoss. Down in the series, we'll see if he mounts back. It is herO for T1. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the red Terran player. The red Terran player himself, the South Korean Terran representing Team Liquid. It is Cure. Here we go. Sure, he would expect drops in response to moving out. But as I mentioned, at no point that game was there a drop that got out of hand that dealt critical damage that herO was punished for not having a cannon, right? Like in that game, there was never a moment where a cannon would have benefited herO. As I mentioned, like cannons, all they do is they buy time, so then you can warp in units to like minimize losses. As nice eBay block. Going for the second eBay. So usually cannons are a waste of resources, and they typically hurt you more than help you. There are some niche situations where cannons can help, specifically in the late game. So in the mid to late game, cannons are useful just because you have excess resources, right? Because you have an excess of resources, you can afford to just throw down like a wall of cannons and shield batteries to deny drop play and deter that kind of style. But you can get away with it, and you can justify it because you have an excess of and a surplus of money, right? Specifically in the late game and in the mid to late game. But in the early to mid game, because your resources are a lot more limited, and because your resources matter that much more with how you allocate them, that's where you can't really justify, you know, throwing down like cannons and shield batteries without reason to. So that's why you see stat defense a lot more commonly in a longer later game, right? TLDR cannons don't move. Well, I mean, I guess the TLDR is that every cannon is one less zealot, for example, and one less zealot means that's going to be a weaker defense at an expansion like a fourth base where you don't have cannons, right? Where you're not reliant on site defense. So it means that for every cannon that you make that early on, it means that your main army is weaker as a result of that, as your main army is smaller, right? But again, that matters less as you get into a longer game. And especially early on, like every unit counts. Like every unit's crucial. For sure. But here we go. Here we go. For timing, we are going to be opening up. Cure did go for his high ground CC, did go for the eBay block, and did disrupt some of the mining, did disrupt the timing of the natural at least. As we follow up with a mine drop. Okay. So mine drop follow up. Depp does get a full scout, and I believe is aware of the drop itself. The medevac may have just been able to barely avoid the adept. As Cure makes his way across the map. Into the main. herO did go for a 3-gate blink opener. He went for a relatively safe start into a later expansion, and he should react in time. FMA pulls away. Base out one mine shots. Ooh, zoning away the medevac. And oh, no blink. Yeah, there is no blink available, so one stalker goes down. So far, pretty successful mine drop here from Cure. He won't escape with the winter mines, but does get a stalker and 2 probes. Meanwhile, the third base is delayed. As Hero now expands. I will see if Cure can get away with a medevac at any point. If so, that will be a bonus. We'll see. And medevac does boost the way. At the same time, here he commits across the map. Bearing in mind, remember, he went 3-gate blink, so he has an excess of stalkers. Prism moves out as well, and here can start to apply pressure to Cure. Let's go. The natural base is quite secure. We have a bunker, we have a tank. The main base likewise has a tank as well. There is an opening into the main. Oh, he's crazy. He's blinking in. Gets a tank. The tank goes down. Does avoid the bunker. Again, bold move here by herO. He does get behind the mineral line. A lot of SCVs is going to be going down. And so far, this is worth it as long as he can get away. And he barely does. Bleeding out a lot of stalkers, though. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, that was, what, 6 stalkers going down. Expensive trades here for herO. Dives on the tank. Doesn't get it. Yo, herO, calm down. I was like, oh, maybe there's like an opening into the main base to like blink in, skirt around the edge and get behind the mineral line and get some SCVs, or maybe deny blink. But he just sent it into the natural. He's lost his mind. And it wasn't worth it. It was not worth it. With that, here he gets one more SCV. Gonna be zoned back. And again, some brutal losses for herO. Typically, when it comes to this kind of Blink Stalker heavy opener, you do want to retain your Stalkers throughout the course of the game. They're quite expensive. But herO has been wasteful. He's looking at the tank. He will dive. He will get it. Okay. Tank goes down. Going for the add-ons. And you can see the main base is so much more accessible here to herO. Finds a lot more damage, delaying the push, delaying the timing. Okay. Oh god. As herO bleeds out 2 stalkers. Yeah, a bit of miscontrol out of herO. 2 more stalkers go down. That is concerning. It's been some messy aggression here from herO. It's been very, very messy. Diving in the bunker. Again, so far, nice control. So herO does rotate. Dials back off, does rotate, bleeds out another stalker. Cure setting up to expand. And herO cannot blink in, by the way. Remember, the stim is done. No. Gets a medevac. And medevac goes down, there's stim. In the end, we do see Cure race back. I feel like you could have just committed to the fight there. Like, I feel like we missed out on some DPS. Interesting. As he's moving out this drop. The Cure's army still does stand strong. And here is still desperate for damage. Back at home, I mean, the bases are quite barren. Job is moving into the main. Here he just warped in. And he does leave 2 stalkers at home to defend. Okay, so there's 2 stalkers in position at the same time, dropping into the main. But there is no defensive warp in. Forced to recall. Yeah, big recall here. 8 probes go down. Oh, at the same time, though, we're getting some counter damage. Okay. Only 3 SCVs, and Cure can expand. Yeah, Cure can take his 3rd base. Takes a further lead. It does take a lead, and here he is struggling. Now, there are ways to recover here. Unlike the previous games, there's no storm. We're just now building up into Colossus. The biggest thing that is hurting herO here is that he's just been very wasteful with his army. Very wasteful. Marines, they start to step in. They catch out 4 probes. Oh, calm down with the rally. Calm down, herO. Calm down. And now he's setting up. Again, I would say the side defense is necessary here because herO has a supply deficit. Because he's been bleeding out and trading so many Stalkers throughout the course of this game. herO's army is lacking. And herO's looking comfortable. It's looking good. From here we're chilling. Student working on a 4th CC. And the game is going to slow down. Now on the one hand, herO, he does have, or he doesn't currently, but he should be able to gain a greater economy. Taking another expansion, taking more gases, gaining map control, that is true. Unfortunately, again, because of the rough trades that herO's been having, he doesn't really have that economic advantage that he otherwise would want here at this stage of the game. herO should be the first to max. herO's pushing. How many Vikings does herO have? Only 4? Only 4 Vikings. There's 3 Colossus to defend. Nice CMP. And nice CMP, but I'm not convinced that herO should be here. Oh, nice snipe. Okay. Nice snipe of the Prism. herO backs off. Again, herO, he cannot break this position, not with a low Viking count. Pulls away. Likewise, it's a lot of Zealots. herO, we just gotta calm down, Pat. Calm down. Harass into the bases. Zealots are set up for a massive run by, a massive counterattack. This does look like a big Hail Mary play for herO, where he's distracting with the bare minimum. Again, this army is so fragile right now. there's no support for the Colossus, but the goal is to distract, right? To distract, to lure the army out. And then to go in. Let's go. herO is distracting. Keeping the attention. Zealots move in. They're on A move though. Yeah, Zealots are on A move. Zealots are deflected, and herO he defends. herO he defends is claiming a 4th base. Big moment here for the Terran. The 4th base is getting up and running. herO is still in trouble. As we mentioned, herO is the first to max out. Now, herO's army isn't perfect. We're still kind of building ourselves up. We should be working soon on a Fusion Core into Liberator range, into a higher starport count, into more Liberators. That should be the end goal for herO. And because of the high amount of Zealots, it would be ill-advised to move out on the map, right? Zealots, they thrive out in the open. They struggle pushing into SimCity. So it doesn't feel good, but the correct thing to do here is to stay at home, despite being maxed and despite being the first to max. So herO is doing the correct thing. We're just turtling up. It doesn't feel good to be maxed and to be stuck at home, but like that is a consensus here, at least until you perfect your army. Ooh, herO going for the double drop. Now, the purpose of this is there should be a Ring of Turrets. There isn't, but there should be a Ring of Turrets here, and there's a very high chance that one Prism will be killed, but the other Prism will make it through. So this is a way to ensure that you get into the main base and you get a massive warp into the main. I would say that herO is a little bit premature here, though, because herO is maxed. He has no free supply. There is an opening. There's no turrets in the main base. Zealots bust in. They bust into the main. herO pushing forward, going for the planetary. herO out of position. Yeah, herO's out of position. He will go on top of the Colossus. Nice CMP. herO, he wins the main fight, but as herO bleeds out supply, it should be warping in. It should be warping in. Takes down both Colossus. Here come the warp-ins into the main. And herO's hoping that herO turns around. He's not turning around. herO's not turning around, Pappy. herO's like, pay attention to the Zealot drop. Nah, there's plenty at home. Yeah, there's plenty of reinforcements back at home. herO, he defends. He moves out across the map. And herO, he plummets in supply. He has nothing left. Again, the hope was for herO to respect this Prism drop, but it wasn't enough. It just wasn't enough across the map. It wasn't threatening. herO, he commits, bleeds out a lot of Vikings. That's what, 3 Vikings going down. There's now 3 Colossus. Can herO hold on? Oh, Toasted Island goes down, depowers all the robos. And Curious done. He snowballs out of control. He does rush forward, taking down Colossus after Colossus. Nothing left to defend. There's one Colossus remaining. Zero. Oh god. Down to 0. Yeah, down to 0. Prisms go down as well. Get a strong fight for Cure. Now, what does herO have? Expansions. He's got empty bases all over the place. We got next side. We got bases. Technically, herO does have a slightly better economy here. True. Does have the better economy. And Cure just has to calm down. He's scanning, looking for bases, and eventually has to work through them. Has to work through those expansions. Nice catch by herO. Gets a medevac. Does get a medevac. herO's reprobing. Doing what he can to buy time. But Cure still has the advantage. On the one hand, yes, I would say that Cure doesn't really have enough to commit to a push across the map. He just doesn't have the supply for that. He is stuck at home. But at the same time, Cure is still looking much more healthier. Looking much more healthy. ICB. And ICB's on the Zealots. Cleans up. Will knock down bottom right. Ooh, forcing the recall. Does force the recall. There is another EMP. And Cure, he might as well take this, by the way. despite the recall, he cleans up all the Zealots. Stalkers are exposed, and Cure, he will still take the fight. We have more Zealot reinforcements. Okay. Cure is holding. Cure, he's holding on. Here come the Colossi. Cure, he has to get out of here. Yeah, we're getting messy. At the same time, recall's on cooldown. This base will go down. Cure still gets an expansion. As well as seeing Cure just dives in, catching another Colossus. Doesn't quite have enough to keep going though. Has to be careful. Cure is still amassing back at home. He's now built up to a superior economy. True. Curie's gotten there. He has gotten there. Likewise, Curie's built up to 7 Vikings. A decent Viking count against 2 Colossus. Decent. And once again, this army is vulnerable to EMPs. Massive EMPs on the Gateway Army. EMPs a papa. Catching another Colossus. There's 1 Colossus left. And again, Cure, he's in no real danger here. Like he can aim if that. He can stim and he can win. At the same time, drops into the main. Depowers the production. And with that, the final base goes down. GG gets called, and Cure, he will claim the series 3-1, taking down herO and advancing on to the grand finals. Whew, GG. Ay. GG, well played. Again, a very messy game here by herO. The earlier matches were a little more closer, a little more back and forth, a little more intense. But here, if you recall, herO, he was overly aggressive with his Stalkers. I mean, he did sustain some losses early on, if you recall, to the Widowmine drop, so that did prompt the counterattack. And herO, he lost so many Stalkers, blinking into the natural, blinking into the main base. It was just not worth it. And herO did fall behind. He was just bleeding out far too much. It was not a worthwhile trade. And that did allow for Cure to build up, to claim his 3rd base, to macro up out of that as well, to gain an economic lead. The 4th base for herO was much more delayed. We emphasized that even though herO had more bases, it was actually even if not behind in workers as well, and Cure had a very comfortable mid game. Very comfortable. Now, in the end, that did lead into both players maxing out, but one army wasn't quite like the other. As we emphasized at the time, the goal for herO, because he knew he was behind, was to hopefully force Cure to go back into his main, right? To hit the main base, to hit the forward base with his army, to distract, get the warp into the main base, force Cure back home, and then back off and rebuild and keep that kind of dynamic going. But Cure just dominated the fight, just kept pushing. And he dominated back at home as well. Like, his reinforcements did clean up all those zealots, he shut down the double prism, and Cure just snowballed out of control. Just snowballed out of control from there. GG, well played. With that, Cure does claim the series, and we have our grand finals ready for us here. Cure, he will advance on to face off against Max Pax in those grand finals. Let's go. Let us go. But again, I would say at times herO being overly aggressive in that final game. Just overly aggressive, very, very messy play in the mid game. Did give Cure a lot of opportunities, a lot of advantages. A lot of advantages.